Hello, good evening. Welcome to Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. And you may notice today I've started with some different music today than I normally do. Because I didn't start on the right screen, so sorry to break the usual thing. Anyway, I've had a really good week. We're getting in a bit of a heat wave here in the area that I live in the UK. It is a very balmy 31 degrees, 32 degrees Celsius outside, which is an incorrect heat. If you live in a temperate and mild area in the UK, it is a little bit too much for me to handle. I've got a bit of a headache because I've been in it all day. I've tried to not move, but I have been working since 7 o'clock this morning. And yeah, it's just a little bit much in this part of the house. Unfortunately, it's one of the only real downsides. I've said it in the last couple of weeks. The location of this attic is just that the sun rises on that side of the house and sets on that side of the house. So as you can see here, like I'm in the eaves of the building, so like the whole side of this whole part of the house just gets a constant belting from the sun all day. And when it's been this hot, you can feel it when you're coming up the stairs to come through that door behind me. You can feel it's like walking into a hot pool. It's really peculiar. It is very uncomfortable. I do have a turbo fan on turbo speed today, just trying to get a bit of air circulation, but it's not making it any cooler in here. It is making it a little bit more bearable for sure. If that is bothering you throughout the show, do let me know and I will turn it down or turn it off. I will suffer for your audible pleasure. Anyway, if you're new here to Easy 8, it's not a tutorial show or anything like that at all. It is literally just a painting club where you can come along, make some friends, meet some friends, and talk over there with the guys in the live chat. Or you can talk to me, I'm here too, and we could just talk about getting through those mounds of unpainted plastic models, armies, whatever it is that you've got that you need to get painted. I'm here to kind of provide you with a little bit of motivation, a bit of company for sure, and hopefully some inspiration to kind of get some stuff done. Lately I've been barraged with messages, like personal ones, ones on Facebook, here on YouTube as well, from people just saying if it wasn't for Easy 8 I wouldn't have got half the painting done or any at all that I have done, so thanks very much. You're welcome. Thank you very much for coming along and making Easy 8 something really special for me, and I'm glad that you guys get a lot out of it too. I did talk about maybe making the show going to fortnightly. That was met with generally bad feedback, so I won't do that. Don't worry, it's okay. We're going to stay weekly. Clearly people like Easy 8, and that makes me happy inside and outside obviously too. So yeah, if you are painting something today, do let me know. Drop it over there in the live chat. At the moment we've got Jeff Lacey, that's my dad. Hi Dad, thanks for coming along today. I assume it's going to be a quiet one because everyone's at the beach who lives locally and watches this, or just generally if you're out anywhere else in the world, probably just enjoying being outside with your family and friends, I should imagine, but I'm here nonetheless. Yeah, do let me know what it is that you're painting. I am very, very interested. Would love to see what it is that you're painting. So if you want to put some photos up on Facebook, we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. I know Instagram's in the middle. I'm never going to get that right. I just need to settle for that, I think. We're on Instagram, as well as being here on YouTube. So if you like what we do, do consider liking and following us, what we do. But mostly subscribe to the channel, because every little subscription really motivates me, and it really helps me make this channel every little bit that it should be and could be, and more. So please do subscribe, share the name Easy 8, tell your friends and family, tell a stranger in the street, go have you heard of Easy 8? Obviously be sensible, probably don't do that, just don't listen to me, don't do any of those things, don't subscribe. Let's try some reverse psychology. Don't subscribe, don't do it, it's a rubbish show, you're not gonna like it, tune out right now. So yeah, that would be great. Don't do anything. What am I going to be doing today? I said last week, though, I've still got a few bits and pieces left to do on some of the Tyranids that I've been painting for the last few weeks. Actually, for the last several months, but that I've been doing them on the show for the last several weeks. They are almost ready to be finished. Basically, I'm just kind of just gearing up to do the last few bits of detail and things on them and making a few bits for the bases. And I was really enjoying doing the bases and wanted to do something scenery-wise or terrain-wise. And if you recall, a few weeks ago, I went to the wargaming show called Legionary or Legionnaire, which is in Exeter in the southwest of the UK, which is where I'm from. I don't come from Exeter. I just drove over there with my dad, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. And I bought loads of stuff. And one of those episodes I did a little while ago was showing you all the stuff that I bought. And one of the things that I really want to get into is painting the gates for the death races on Gaslands. They're little bits of MDF. I made them the other day. They're very, very basic, very, very simple, but they are really, really cool. And just for a few quid, I got a start and a finish one, and I got some numbered ones as well, because the whole point of Death Race is that you race around the track, and you have to go under checkpoints. And so I've made these. They're very simple, and I just want to paint them up a little bit. Because it's Gaslands, it's not really a game that I enter into too much painting on. I like to do my cars up a little bit. I've done a few on the show, and I've got a very rudimentary setup for racing around. It's not really about the tabletop itself. It's more about just the maneuvers that you pull off, that me and my friends who come onto the show to watch, that we just enjoy that side of it. Really, you get some really tactical games. You do get the occasional one where you're just kind of blown up in the first few minutes. You're allowed to respawn and come back on at the nearest gate. So having the gates is it's really cool. It's only one of the very many game modes that are in the game. It's the one that me and my friends enjoy the most. So I thought it'd be really nice to have some really nice looking gates for it. Jeff's come in saying, just started painting the stonework on the Scottish Bastille and the cottages that go with it. Came around your studio the other day, had a look at that Bastille and the other little cottages that you've made. They are really, really cool, and I was watching you put the first layer of paint on them, and it changed the character from all the cards and things and the clays, etc., that you use. And it kind of makes it this homogeneous, is that the right word, homogeneous sort of sculpture. It's all one colour, and it was really nice and uniformed. I'd be really interested to see some pictures if you're willing to share. Of course, put them up on Easy8's Facebook page, because we're on Facebook as well. There. So yeah, basically I'm just going to get started onto here. Let's head on over to the workbench, and I've got 6 gates in total. I might give them all a bit of an undercoating, and I think I'm just going to work on one and kind of get it to a level where I'm at. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I hope that I could get them all done tonight. It's probably not going to happen. I like to chat a lot, but let's go over to the workbench. Hopefully the camera is working. It's working. Cool. So as you can see, it's a very, very simple affair. It's basically just one sort of cutout frame all the way along. It's actually in 2 pieces that are glued underneath here. It's got this little strip over the top, which is used to kind of make something of the sign, but also hides the join on here. And there's also another piece underneath here which holds it all together, and again hides the join. It goes into these little feet, and they were stable enough, but me and my friends are old and clumsy, and we do tend to knock things over quite a bit. So I asked my dad, that's Jeff, just over there in the live chat, if he wouldn't mind just getting some scraps of MDF from his extensive scrap pile in his workshop, and cut out some little stands for me, just to kind of make them blend away a little bit, and I wanted them not uniform and just kind of weird and wonderful shapes. What he has done is kind of sculpted the edges a little bit, so he sanded them down, so it looks like that these signs, if you like, or these stands, are like based into concrete blocks that are embedded into the sort of soil. I wanted to make sure that that they didn't encroach any further into this area, because you want lots of space to go underneath, and on the starting one especially, which this one is, you actually line up underneath it. So yeah, it's very important for me to have that clear area. I didn't ask for this little concrete bit here to be done. That was just something that he did. Thanks very much. I love them. I spent about an hour ago, I got home and I sat with the cats and I glued them all together, so hopefully they should stay. They are much more stable now. It's very hard to knock them over. If I'm knocking them this much, it's gonna, something's going wrong. So they are very, very stable. I love MDF terrain. I think it's a very easy and affordable way to bring a lot of tabletop clutter to your war games or whatever it is that you're doing. For sure, the quality isn't the same as what you would get from something that is resin molded, or even if you go into my dad Jeff in the live chat there for Purple Lion Creations to get yourself something that is bespoke and especially built. But there are some wonderful companies out there that really do make a really good job of making some tiny little pieces. For what they are, they're wonderful. I've actually got, for the 15mm war game, tank war game, What a Tanker, I've bought a load of these little MDF houses. They don't come from the same people who made this one. This is from Blotz.co.uk. There is a link in the description just down there if you were interested. They do so many scales, in fact all the scales that you would play in, and they do so many genres and themes and so many different things in each one. You definitely need to go on over and have a look. They are wonderful. They do a lot with Gaslands as well. It's great. This particular building here and the other terraces that I've got to go with it comes from Foregrounds Terrain. These are actually a bit more expensive than the standard sort of MDF builds that you would get out there, because the level of detail is that much more. For starters, a lot of it comes pre-painted, and then you just kind of glue them together. These took a long time to build because there's so many extra details and things. All the window sills and frames and all the lintels and everything, they all come as separate pieces, which, because they are cut out from a different angle, you're actually using the cut edges of the window sills to kind of create a difference in texture and colour if you don't want to paint them. One day I will get around to painting them, to do something extra with them, but I think they're really lovely. And if you really wanted to, depending on the game that you go into, they actually have like different sort of levels inside the buildings, and you can also add additional layers, so you can have higher terraces, shorter terraces. And I've got 3 little houses that I wanted to see how they played into my war games that I used, and each house is roughly 20 to £30 depending on what you're getting. I recently spent, like the other day, spent over £100 on some more foreground terrain. So yeah, MDF stuff it's absolutely wonderful. And if you don't have any and you're thinking about, you know, getting some bits and pieces for your war games table, do consider going to Foreground or Blotz, or even another link in the description of this video is Charlie Foxtrot models, where he does an extensive range of all sorts of period buildings, and they are very high quality and they are wonderful. So go and check those out. Anyway, I'm going to paint these now. MDF has a habit of absorbing paint, but I don't think this feature is going to be an issue, because this is the top of the MDF, which is essentially its sort of protected layer. These edges would be where I would be concerned about the paint being absorbed into it, but they've been obviously cauterized by the laser cutter. However, these new bits that we've added on the bottom here, they are sanded rough and raw, and I bet as soon as I spray colour onto those, the paint's going to disappear. But I don't know yet, and I was going to sort of pre-undercoat them before the show started, but I didn't have time because I've been, you know, fussing with the cats and cleaning my airbrush, so I haven't had a chance to do it. But that's what we like about this show, is the roughness and the rawness, and just kind of learning and making errors and things. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to have a little go now, spraying some colour onto them and see what happens. If the colour disappears, PVA glue is enough. I don't want to get my PVA glue out, it's somewhere hidden away downstairs, and I have to mix it with water and wait for it to dry. It probably would dry quite quickly, but I think if I was to varnish it, I think that would seal it pretty quickly as well, and I could just blast that through the airbrush and save a lot of hassle. Just get it done really quickly, just, you know, kind of airbrush it on. So what I'm going to do with these bits, so I'm going to paint these bits brown to make it look like it's soil, and I'm going to do a static grass feature much later. I'm going to paint these rectangular features at the bottom here. I'm going to paint those with a concrete colour, so I'll come back into that with a separate one. And then the whole structure, I'm just going to like probably maybe I won't even prime it, maybe we'll just get it straight on with a silver colour, but I'm just going to do it a nice silver, make it look like it's all steel works or whatever. And then when it's all done, I'm going to do some like heavy rust effects all over it to make it look like it's been sat there for ages and ages, because one of the favoured sort of themes to do with Gaslands is a dystopian sort of not looked after appearance, which looks kind of cool. I don't know what I've done with the little pamphlets that came with these little things, but basically the start signs and the numbers that I've got as well, where they were white trims, and in between the letters the background essentially was blue, and I quite like that. So seeing how it all comes together later on, I might do that as well later on. I don't know if I want to do the start and the finish in different colours. Maybe I'll do green to start the start sign, and maybe I'll do like a checkerboard finish for the finish one. That'd be cool. But the numbers, which I've got down here, here's number 1 for example, might do those blue and white. So let's see where it goes. Basically, like all of my projects, a bit of an unknown entity and experimenting and never getting stuff done. Gonna go straight in with charred brown. It's one of my favourite browns, especially to do like earth colours and rusty colours and things like that. Gonna give it a bit of a waz on the Wazomatic. Normally Stafford would come in around about this point to shout Wazomatic, but the live chat today looks like it's quite thin. That's okay, you can watch later. You can come back and watch on replay. It's a lovely hot day. What are you doing indoors? Painting? I bet even Jeff's come out of the out of your workshop now, haven't you? Because you're also in the attic, and it is mental hot up there. I'm already, I can feel it. I can feel it running down the back of my neck already. The sweat, unbelievable. Clean the airbrush out just before the start of the show. because, like I regularly do, I did not clean it out after the last time I used it. So yeah, I poured alcohol in it and that did the job. So go straight on with some charred brown. I don't really care all that much about the coverage, and you can see that Jeff has numbered them and done some pencil lines and stuff on them. That should disappear. So we'll see what happens. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna like come back over it with like more sort of terrain features, mud and gravel and stones and grass and stuff later. However, looking pretty good. That Jeff says, "Was it?" It doesn't look like it's actually absorbing the paint. No, I'm not being delicate about it at all. I'm going to be quite rough, just making sure that I get a decent coverage of brown on there, making sure that I hit the sides. I'm quite happy that it's not going to absorb the paint anyway, because if I did go and sort of seal it all in with PVA glue or varnish or whatever, if it's not going to have any problems, it's a bit of a waste of time and materials, isn't it really? There we go. So that's the colour there already, covered over that little number 6, I think it was. I'm just going to keep it nice and quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through all of the gates, just use this charred brown and get it all done. I can see already that I'm going to go through this quite quickly. Let's fill the hopper up. There we go. One of the things that I really want to get back at, it's in storage at the moment, is my static grass applicator. I've got a really good one. I really got into using it. I've had some really good results from it, and it's really fun to use, and it's really simple. And I'd love to do like an extra show on it. I think it'll be really cool. So again, like I've said in the past, haven't I, that I want to do like more types of shows, etc. Little one-off broadcast how-tos and, you know, reviews and stuff, and I think it'd be wicked to do a static grass one. It'd be cool, right? Just gonna pop that over there. Okay, let's move on to gate number 1. Oh no, I see that my my camera has froze. Let me just see if I can sort that out. I'm gonna go into the background here. Is it gonna do its thing? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the camera off, and I might have to unplug it and start it back up again. Yep, I sometimes have to do this. It happens, it happens. I have a feeling it might be something to do with the heat in here as well. Just plugging it back in. Oh, I have to use 2 hands for this. Normally I do this before the show and it stops it from having that problem. But yeah, it doesn't like it today. And we're back in play, we're back in play. Nice. Gotta go back to the workbench again, here we go. To get all those lovely graphics back in again. And we're working, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, so. Nice. And just a heavy, rough layer of this brown. It's my go-to, really, for anything that's rusty. It's a really good rusty colour, it's a really good sort of earthy colour. If you really wanted to go quite in detail, in depth with your sort of dioramas or scenic builds, then you could mix other colours and do sort of, you know, variations, tones and things with your soils. Again, with this, I'm not really all that fussed. We have more fun playing the game than we do, being concerned about the tabletop aesthetics. Although I am a strong believer in having a good-looking tabletop. It's just in a couple of the smaller games that I don't really worry about it so much. Unfortunately, all of my friend players do as well. Like, we like to have a good, neat, tidy tabletop. I think it's important. You spend a lot of time, painting our miniatures and making it the best we can. And we play in and around, Coke cans and stuff. And while that serves a purpose, and it is a good one, I believe that we should look to improving our tabletops as well. Just so it make you extra work, right? Okay, back onto gate number 2. Checking that the camera's still working. It is. That's lovely. I ran out of paint already? Yeah, I'm going through this brown quite quickly. It might be that as time goes on this evening, that as the paint dries, I might have to go and give it another layer because maybe the MDF is going to absorb it. It just takes a little while. But I have sprayed sort of aerosol cans onto sanded MDF in the past, and I've watched it literally go. It goes like a sponge right before your eyes, and that's not happening here, which I'm really pleased with because it, like I say, means less work. Quite wide, these terrain pieces, making sure that I'm not damaging them by swinging them around, so I'm trying to get a better position on them. Okay, making good speed, which is good. Gate number 3. We've played with lots of different amounts of gates in our games as well, and you always want to kind of put, there's a temptation to want to put loads of gates down, but if you're ever going to play Death Race, if you haven't done it before, don't, or if you do play the game and you play with lots of gates, play with fewer, unless you're going to like play for the whole day, because the game has, the time that the game takes to play is exponential with more gates. And it might take you to have a go with a game with lots of gates and a game with a small amount of gates to kind of fully appreciate it, but everyone's fighting all the time to get to them, and as soon as one person kind of runs off in the distance, then it's too much. You want to play a shorter game with a fewer amount of gates. We have played in the past like with up to 6 gates and a start line and a finish, but actually having like 3 or 4 gates in the start and the finish is more than enough. The only exception to that, of course, is if you're playing one of the teams called Miyazaki, which is one of their Japanese-style Tokyo Drift sort of themes, where they have lots of skills, where it's all about maneuvering around. And if you've got like a large amount of that sort of team in it, then having a few more gates is okay, because you're just speeding around them all at the time. Onto gate 4. Gone through all that paint again. Getting some good coverage here. It's a nice dark colour. I don't know if I'm going to have to prime these or not. In some ways I'd prefer not to. It'll bond really well to the wood. It's not like it's plastic, so it's not about bonding or anything in here. It's just about the coating. Is my silver going to be strong enough in pigment to kind of cover over these darker patches of wood? I don't really know. Jeff says, you should buy your terrain from a pro builder. Ha! You trying to drum up some more business there? But I firmly believe you should, if you have the time and money, obviously. And of course, it is about how much money you can spend into it, and not everybody has access to money like that all the time to buy lots of different terrain for every game that they play. I certainly don't. I'm just not frightened of spending a little bit of money here and there, but it has taken me many years to acquire the stuff that I have, to get the collection that I've got. I'm very proud of that. It's taken me a long time, and it's, you know, it's wargaming and collecting all this sort of stuff. It's a passion, and it's very proud of the collection I've got. And I have started off with piles of books and Coke cans, but it's an aspiration, isn't it, to make a beautiful table and to have a collection of stuff. Of course, I'd run out with just one more little bit to go. I'll just put a couple of drops in there. There we go. Again, just making sure I'm getting all those edges. I got a little blockage in the airbrush, and that wasn't because I haven't done a very good job in cleaning it out. That's because I've been doing like a steady stream, and one of the things that, you know, one of the schools of thought with airbrush is that you shouldn't necessarily constantly do like a stream, is that you should do lots of little bursts where you can, because every little burst forces a little bit of extra pressure out when you do it, and if there's a little blockage building up, it will force that little blockage forwards and then eventually out of the air gun. So if you're kind of constantly streaming like this, what's going to happen is you'll get like a little bit of a build up, and it'll just stay there, and it'll build up over the top, build up over the top. Of course I did that and then did a little pump, and it just went pop. It's this sort of work that I originally bought the airbrush for, just getting large swathes of it all done in one go. And Stafford, who normally comes online a little while ago, had like so many Sherman tanks to do. It was like, I'm just having bad luck with all the olive green. I love olive green. I've got a quite nice selection of olives, so I said bring them up, and I did them all in an afternoon for him. And it would have taken days to do that by hand, so more than happy to help. Just gonna flush the airbrush through. Just a little bit of water there, and then I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to come back, and I don't know whether I should do the concrete grey with the airbrush. I'm going to try, perhaps I'll do that with a hand brush later on, because I don't think it'll take an awful lot of effort to do that. Don't really want to like overspill too much. I'm going to do silver next, and get those beams kind of done. Just do the whole thing really. I will try to avoid doing the actual sign, I think. Should I? I think so. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to pop all these down and out of the way a minute. Just going to pop them down here on the floor. I was going to let the cats in this afternoon, because they haven't had much company today. But they are running around being little tykes, so they can come in a little bit later on. If you want to see my cats, I will let them in the studio after the show, and if you're interested, you can come along to the Easy 8 after party on Discord. There is a link to that in the description. Well, normally quite a few people come and join me after the show, and we have a little chit chat. We get on the video chats. You don't have to go on the video chat, you can just talk or type if you want to. Lots of people do that too, and I just sit there and stream to you guys, sort of, but not on air, and we kind of get to meet up and chat, and that's really nice. I don't expect anyone to probably come this evening, because it seems that it's quite a quiet show today. That's fine, but I will be there for a little bit, so if you want to come on over, do come on over. I know it's a hot day, but a hot cup of tea is very refreshing on a hot day. That might sound a bit backwards, but it is a thing. And I also just love tea. So I've got some different silvers. I've got chainmail, which is my normal go-to silver. I've got a very dark silver called gunmetal. I kind of want to find a use for it. I don't really know what much to use it on. I think it's probably going to be quite inappropriate to use. I think silver's much better. I've also got like a bright silver, just called bright, or just called silver. I think that's too bright. This is a very good silver. It's cool. As I'm going through it, you might think that another silver would look better. Give me a shout, let me know. Of course, it's just my dad, really, in the live chat. It's just me and you, mate. But of course, if you are watching this back on replay and you've got any kind of points or suggestions or anything throughout the show, I read everything that you guys put up in the comment section, and I often get chatting to you guys through the comments or over on Facebook. So if there's something you want to drop in, you got any suggestions or criticisms about the show, put it in the chat, man. Put it in the chat. I'll read it, put it in the comments, whatever. Just giving this paint a little bit of a wazz up on the paint mixer there. It's been a little while since I've used it. Gonna give it a bit of a shake. Back to the airbrush. Okay. Of course, there's a cat hair on that. Like the good old days. My old cat. How I missed that cat. She was lovely. Okay, so I'm going to start off just randomly over here. Just going to see what that coverage is like. So, it's a good start, isn't it? Nice coverage there. Looks okay. I was going to say it looks a bit patchy, but actually that's not. I think that's just a pattern from the MDF coming through. Okay, let's go to the sides here. That's a really good pigment. I'm really happy with that. That's cool. So I'm trying to be careful to not get any overspray on the sort of mud bits down the bottom there. If I do get a little bit, it won't be too hard to tackle, to deal with. But you know, the less that I have to deal with, the better. That's okay, man. And the bit that I suppose I'm most concerned about is actually in the holes, where the holes are. I might not get a lot of paint in there, I might miss it a little bit, but because the where it's been cut out has made it kind of give this dark brown, it might just add a little bit of character to it. Jeff says dark silver, then the light, possibly. Do you know what? On the next one, I'll give that a shot, see what it looks like. You're just talking about like a quick pass over or something with the light one once I've gone over with the dark one. What shall I do here? Shall I do the whole underside silver? Yeah, just make a decision, right? I'm going to try not get too much silver on the start sign here, because painting over metallics can bring some problems. I've never really encountered those problems. I just kind of paint heavy, I suppose. But obviously, I don't want to like find that problem at some point halfway through a project, you know. Cool. It's coming on really quickly, which is great. Bit heavy with the airbrush there, but if it kind of leaves like a pattern, I suppose it'll just make it look cool. I'm happy with that. Got a bit of silver overspray on the brown. Whatever. Maybe I should have done the brown last. Ran out of silver. Have a feeling I'm going to go through a lot of my paint today. That's okay. Alright, do you know what? That's pretty quick, isn't it? Cool, going to try and not get silver everywhere, because it's a notorious crawler. Alright, you know, I'm actually pretty chuffed with that. That looks alright so far, doesn't it? I like it. Just going to pop that down on this side, on the floor there. And I'm going to come in with this one here. Now, I've already got a bit of silver in here, haven't I? And I said I was going to do a dark silver. Okay, cool. I'll use this one up and I'll get another one and do a dark silver, see what happens. I realise that I'm actually a little bit out of shot today, and I don't really know why that is. I have had a bit of a tidy up in the workshop, and I kind of like repositioned certain things, and I wonder if it's because I'm sitting closer to a set of drawers to my right, which used to be directly to my left. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to go back over those brown bits. That's fine, that's okay. Okay, I've run out of normal silver. I'll get another one up. And we'll just get the dark silver out. This is the gunmetal. Gunmetal. Give it a quick whiz. And we'll just compare the two, see what it's like. And if I don't like it, then I'll just go back over it with the other silver. If you heard that on the microphone, that was my belly that made that noise. Apologies. It wasn't a trump. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Do you know, it's very glittery, like it's almost like it's got heavier or larger metallic particles in it. As it started to come out, I was like, oh, I quite like this, but it looks like someone's painted sandpaper. It's quite a bizarre thing. Wonder what you guys think of that. I mean, it does look quite a nice colour, but it is very sparkly. It's almost like a glitter. I can see the flakes coming out of the airbrush. That is very, very weird. If it wasn't for that, I'd say that I actually like the colour more. What do you guys think? I'd be very interested to kind of get your take on it. What do you think? It's very, very glittery. I think I'll just actually blow it out of the airbrush and I'll go back to the other silver now, unless everybody else is like, no, that's a really good colour, stay with it, stay with it. Let me, I'll just, yeah, there we go, we'll just get rid of that on there. There we are, lovely. I'm going to put a little bit of water through the airbrush just to get rid of, that was quite heavy. Particulate, is that the correct word here? The flaky goodness. Just purging it. Oh, Jeff says I like it. It's very sparkly. I'm going to leave it for a minute. I will take a photo of it. I'll put it on Facebook because maybe the cameras, the studio here, isn't really showing it off very much. But it is very, very sparkly. It's like something you'd expect to see at a birthday party. Hang on. So, that's the one that we've been using. And there's that one there. Let me just get a paint pot so that I can leave it standing upright. There we go. Okay, here we are. So, you're going to see my phone now. Here it is, my phone. And I will just take a photo. It's my belly making noises again. There we are. This is happening live. Gonna head over to Easy 8. Here we go. What's on your mind? I will show you. I'm going to put this photograph up. And I'll title it, Which Metal is Best? Here it goes. Post. It's posting. Oh my god. What a world we live in. Cool, let me know what you think. I'm going to carry on painting this normal silver one. Just make sure the airbrush is well purged there. I'm going to have to give this a really good clean. I'm probably going to have to put it in a sonic bath today. Make sure that all of that silver stuff comes out. Jeff says, what's it going to look like with a rust effect? Oh, well now you're making me jump the gun, aren't you? Oh, I don't know what to do now. Why would you say that? What I feel like I want to do now is actually do like a metal project, you know, like play with all the different metals, see what they all look like with all the different rust effects on them. So I'm probably going to have to do that, aren't I now? It's a good question though, and you're absolutely right. What's it going to look like? The problem with these silvers, excuse me with the hiccups here, definitely, I think I'm hungry, it is these colours come straight out of the Vallejo game colour range. They do several different ranges of colours. They just, oh, I keep hitting the camera. They do several different ranges, the most common one being model colour, which is everything like all the war colours or just standard palettes, etc. And then there's the game air range, which is a palette of colours that is slightly more calibrated towards like fantasy war games and things like Warhammer and the like, where it's nice to have some vibrant colours for various heraldries and just, you know, cool looking aesthetics and things where they're not necessarily realistic. I have that range in the air range, and while it is very good, the metallics I struggle with. I find it very difficult to get a good metallic anyway. Getting a bit of an air bubble there. There we go. I have seen some very good stuff coming out of the metallic scene from this particular range of paints, the Vallejo game color range. But they also, Vallejo that is, do another metallic range. They do like not true metals, that's AK. I forget what the actual range is called, but they actually like use proper particles, like so metal particles in their paints, bronzes, golds, etc., and they are absolutely fantastic. I do have to experiment around with them. I know that some of the viewers out there have used them and absolutely loved them. I just haven't got really around to buying any. Like, you know, I've got a lot of projects on the go, so I'm quite keen just to kind of make sure that those projects happen, really. But perhaps I should kind of invest and play around with it. That's what the show's for, isn't it? Well, it's not, but, you know, have some fun. Experiment. Right, that's 2 gates done. Yep, cool. Move back onto this one here. Where's my airbrush? Gonna keep an eye on the time because I normally use audio cues to tell me what time it is, but I didn't start today with the right audio. So, yeah, if I run over, I apologise. You should let me know. Saying that this is going rather well, and I did say at the beginning that I was going to do them one at a time, but actually when I saw how quick it was being painted, very quickly and subconsciously changed my mind, and that's quite nice because it means that even even if they don't get finished today, they'll be very close to being finished in one show, and that means that if I get to play with them over the next few days, then they will look pretty good, despite being unfinished. Oh man, do you know I have a headache today, and it's almost certainly because of the weather, right? If you're watching from the part of the world where you are used to it being those sorts of temperatures, yeah man, like, I'm not. It is really warm. So I work at an activity centre for children. I was watching my team of instructors, because I lead a team of instructors. I was watching them kind of all get fed up with the heat, and they were all jumping in baths of water and things. Just at the end of the day, just because it got so intense. There was no escaping it, no matter where you went. Okay, 2 more left down there to go, and then that one over there which I've already painted. It looks so sparkly. Just don't know how I feel about the sparkly. Going through the paint today. That's what it's for though, it's no good sat in a pot, right? I always get really precious about saving paint and making sure I don't unnecessarily use it all. What happens if I run out or you buy another pot, right? Just making sure I get all the undersides, all the little overhangs, etc. And I will do like a little quality control check once I kind of got them all at a certain stage. I'll go back over all of them, make sure I haven't missed anything. Like this little bit here, it's really hard to kind of get it in line, so I don't want to spray it like just openly in the air because I'm going to get it all over the studio. Wicked. One more on the floor. Here we go. This will be one of the last little bits of paint that I put in. Oh, I've still got the other one to do, I suppose. Okay. Keep checking that time, Danny. It's so awkward to get that last little bit there. Okay, so now it's just onto that last one, which I am gonna go over. I'm not keen on the sparkly. It is so sparkly. Gonna have to do some tests. Let's see what happens if I go over it just in patches. It has added a certain element to it. Here we go for the last little bit of paint now. Oh, look at that. My camera's frozen again. It must be something to do with the heat because it's doing it a lot today, and that is quite unusual. Like, it'll normally do it like once at the beginning of a show, if it does do it. So let's just see if I can. I'll close the camera down. I'll unplug it, and I'll plug it back in, and I'll start it again. There we go. Let's see if I can open it back up. I'm back again. There we go. That's great. Back to the workbench. Yeah, sorry, it keeps on happening. Not entirely sure why. But at least nowadays I have a quick fix for it. Jeff says, I have a Gaslands question or two as I hope to build a rolling road system as soon as I have time. I will ask in the second half though. Yeah, okay, cool. I look forward to it. We sometimes get some little visitors in the second half. if people haven't been watching from the first bit, and they often come back in for the second bit. So maybe we'll get our usual viewers in there. But like I say, if everyone's out enjoying the sunshine, go out and enjoy the sunshine. What are you doing painting your models? It's fine. I don't do well in the heat, and I've been out in it since 7 o'clock this morning, so I don't want to be out in it anymore. I would like to get drunk, like I normally do on a Friday evening, but because I normally have Saturdays off, I'm losing the ability to speak. But I am working tomorrow morning, so that won't happen. I'd like to finish the show, get on to the After 8 party on Discord, go and join the rest of the community. We'll have like a beer or something, sit and chill out. And then, so depending on how many people are on and how we're feeling, I have another beer, and then it goes on from there, right? And then I might go downstairs, watch some television with my partner, have another beer. I don't go out, I go in. I think I'm almost there. Just making sure I've covered all the angles again. And I think I am there. Not bad progress, really, right? Cool. Again, just going to pop him down here. Lovely. And that's where I'll probably call it for now, just for the first part of the show anyway. So yeah, we'll have a quick 10-minute break. I might just carry on in this video because I'm actually making a lot of progress, and that doesn't normally happen. So I think what I'll do is I'll just redo those brown bits, just put a little bit of extra brown back into the airbrush and just kind of re-establish those bits, and then I might go to the hand brush and then put the concrete block bits in. Maybe would be nice to do some rust stuff as well this evening, so we'll see how quick that goes. But otherwise I think I can lose the silver, which is a great place to be. So let's put that away. I'm going to have to give the airbrush a really good purge. That's certainly going to happen right now. Let's pop that to a side. I'll pop it, I don't know, where should I put it? I'll put it here. I'm missing my little set of drawers I used to put things on top of. Anyway, I'll be back in about 10 minutes. So whatever it is that you're doing, if you're even watching at all today, you should definitely go and change your paint water. See you in a minute. Welcome back. I hope you had a good break. I've had a very productive break. I did need to go and change my paint water because I haven't touched it since the show has started. So yeah, I'm all good to go. I have just finished, just as the music changed and faded there, just finished covering up all the overspray from the silver back over the brown, so that's all good to go. And now I think I'm just going to have a little play with some greys, because I've got a couple of other greys. I've got so many greys, but there's one called Cold Grey by the Vallejo Game Air range, which I haven't used before. It didn't ever really fit in with any of my Tyranid schemes. Excuse me with the hiccups again. So I thought it's one that I don't often use. It looks like a concretey colour to me, so I thought this would be a nice one to kind of give a go. So I'm going to use a brush on this. Where's my first one here? I'm gonna start with a brush and see how well it goes. See if it will cover nice and quickly with a brush. I've got a couple of brushes that I can use. I really like using my Kalinsky number 2. Just make sure those bristles are nice and supple there. Of course, if you are new to the show, just remember that you can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram as well, where you can like, follow and subscribe to everything that we do. And please share Easy8, share the name, get it out there, get it known, so that I can deliver more cool stuff and get better over time. That would be wonderful. And if you're really interested, at the end of the show, you can come and join me and whoever is in the community coming on at the end of the night over on Discord at the Easy8 after party. That would be great. Right now, going to head back over to the workbench, and hopefully the camera is still working. Here we go. So here is my thing I've been doing. The camera is still working. Here is my Cold Grey. It's a nice colour grey. It just never really fitted in with what I was doing with the Tyranids, so I never used it. Going to give it a real good shake up on the Wazamatic. And hopefully, if Jeff is still there watching, you could hit me with that question that you had. You said you had a question about Gaslands. Don't know why, but they make me think of Thunderbirds. Is it just me? What's that? What makes you think of Thunderbirds? The signs that I'm painting, they give you a Thunderbirds feel. That's cool. I'm a massive fan of Thunderbirds. I don't really get the vibe. Maybe it's just you, unless you'll explain something to me, and I'll be like, oh yeah. Perhaps it is like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing at the beginning. The numbers do look quite similar, I suppose. Load of paint in there. That's cool. If that starts to dry really quick, I'm going to put a little bit of paint retarder in there, but I think it'll be fine. Here we go. Oh, something in my eye. Not great. I think I'm going to need a lot of that. I don't think it matters if I go on thick and heavy, because it will lend to the appearance of rough poured concrete, which is good by my book, but also, again, like I said, I'm not massively fussed. That is a hair in my eye, isn't it? So I'm not overly fussed about the aesthetics of the game. Obviously I want it to look nice, so I'm not gonna go bananas, but at the same time I'm not gonna sit there and do my best effort at fine detail painting. Jeff saying, yeah. No, you're right, it must be the numbers at the beginning of the thing. I went to a games cafe a few months ago with some friends, and we played the Thunderbirds board game. It's actually really good. If you're into board games, it plays very much like Pandemic, in the fact that you have to respond to events around the world, and you have the map, and different missions get done by different brothers and different vehicles, and it was really good fun. And it has like different difficulties, different handicaps if you like, and we played it on the normal one, and we had a really good time. That paint does want to absorb a little bit faster on the sides there. That sanded piece. But this bit there was laser cut. Piece of cake. Actually, it's a little bit too tall to get in on the desk here. Can I come in at this angle? It's actually quite good, that angle. That was quite a nice little line, that, wasn't it? Sometimes I do surprise myself. Bit of a bubble there. Go. Little step. Poured concrete. And I'm going to cover all this area in various textures and static grasses eventually. Sure, it will look proper cool by the time I get to it with all that additional stuff. Alright, that's one side. That's okay. That looks really cool. I'm into that. Get the other side done. It is so warm. I had a shower before the show. I'm actually going to have another one after the show. It is uncomfortable. So, Jeff says, in Gaslands, how do you know when a car would crash off the road if there is a drop-off, one wheel or two, you know, like a ditch? It's a good question. You have to determine what you consider a drop-off before the game starts. So it's about, as players, allocating, you know, what terrain would be considered a drop or a jump or whatever, and then how you want to deal with it. So you could just say that if you were to go over this little bit here, you just get like a hazard for like a hazard token, or would you go into what they call a collision window, which is where at that point you start like potentially taking damage or rolling the car and stopping and things like that. How you determine whether you go over it is also open to debate. You could say that it is if a wheel of your car goes over, then you start that collision window process, or you take your hazard, whatever. But in the book, depending on what sort of obstacle it is that they're talking about, they often say if the template that you would use to maneuver goes over the edge. And again, you could also argue, you know, how far over. If it's just a little bit, you know, what is the margin for error there as well. So we often say, you know, if a wheel of your car goes over this extreme obstacle, then that's enough for us to, you know, trigger whatever sort of level you want it to be. Generally, I tend not to get hooked up on it too much. Most of the time, if it's just little steps or whatever, we say if you go over that, if you clip it, you travel over it, you take a hazard. Because the game is, once you get down to the brass tacks, the game is actually a hazard management game. If you can keep the car moving as you start pulling off maneuvers, as you start going over, or you know, over obstacles and around certain things, crashing into people, taking damage, etc., you build up hazard tokens, and if you end your turn with 6 or more hazard tokens, you can potentially flip the car, and then that's generally very bad. You don't want to do that. So there are different things that you can do to mitigate and cancel the hazard tokens that you build by handling dice. So you have some dice depending on the sort of car that you've got. Is it a high performance car? It'll have more. If it's a big pickup, it'll have way less. So So different vehicles have the ability to handle better than others. And you would roll these dice. You don't have to, it's an option. And then certain scores allow you to cancel out existing hazards and pull off better maneuvers, etc. And to shift gear and things like that, to go on for longer and do better things. So the game in my mind is a hazard management game. So generally, unless it's like a big ramp or something like that, or a big jump, I would just sort of say that you would gain a hazard or 2 hazards depending. And most of my friendly players are subscribed to that kind of belief as well. So it's kind of what you want to do. But generally, if a wheel goes over the edge or if the template goes over the edge, then we say that you have activated that part of the scenery, if you wish. You are also out or destroyed or disqualified if you leave the table at any time, but that happens more times than we want to. So what me and my friends do is we say that around the outside of the arena there is a crash barrier, which if you crash into it you take normal collision damage, which is generally quite bad anyway, but it stops you automatically. But sometimes we play games where you can go over the edge. We play there's a game that uses what they call rolling road, which is very different from the concept that you are designing. You leave one side, you put a little marker on it, you measure that marker widthways, and then you come back on the other side and change the scenery. We in that particular sort of game, me and my friends, if we leave the board, we leave the board. That's it, you're done. Very harsh, but that's the way it plays. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways. You're saying more a raised road, big drop off. So I would say that if you finish your maneuver template with one wheel overhanging, then I would take a hazard and you would need to correct it. I would say that if then 2 wheels leave, then you would fall off the side. I think would probably, the idea is to keep it simple, keep it quick, so I don't like to get kind of entrenched down in lengthy rules, etc. But that seems to me to be like a good way of doing it. Basically, the game is a very simple game, and it's how you read into the game and the rules and the mechanics of that can make it very challenging and very tactical, etc. There's a lot of onus put on the players to kind of add their own flair to it and do what they want and kind of give you some choices. So within the remit that I've kind of just discussed, you can do any of the above in any combination, however you see fit. But the rules as written do lean more to if the template leaves or touches the area or whatever, then you're in trouble, because the template is the route that your car would take would take to get there. And generally the widths of the templates are often the widths of the vehicles as well, except for small things like bikes and things like that. So chances are, as you pass through that direction, that area, you're probably going to crash into or collide with whatever obstacle or drop or whatever it is that you're doing as you pass over it. If you hit an obstacle, you stop immediately. If you fall off the side, then you go into a collision window, and then you can potentially roll, and there's all sorts of mechanics that come into play there. Run out of grey there, let's get some more in the palette. I quite like this colour grey. I think I'm going to do like a darker grey wash, maybe even add a little bit of black in there as well, just to kind of add a little bit of patina to it, because MDF, especially the top surface of it, is so flat that it's very boring and uninspiring. and has no texture to it. I could add a tiny little bit of gravel to it, like a little bit of sand, to make it look like it's gravelly. And it's got dust and rubbish in there. Keep hitting that camera again. Yeah, so some things to kind of add a little bit of something to it. What I'll do is I'm just going to do keep hitting that camera, man. I'm just going to do these two gates for now. I'll get this this one's finished on the concrete colour, and then I'll go back to the original one, and I'll see what happens if I, you know, add some additional sort of wash colours to it. And then I'll paint the signs, the actual like numbers or the start sign if you like, and have a look at what colours we like on there. And then get some rust on there as well. See how that looks. You know me, I love weathering. Ah, Jeff says, righto, tar. You are welcome. Me and my friends, we often play the death race, which is racing under these checkpoints. That's the most common type. We're playing a little campaign in Gaslands, which they call it in the rules like a televised season, because it's supposed to be a game show. And we play mostly death race in it. So we alternate between death race and then one of the other types of games. So we'll play like twice as much death race as any of the other modes. But between the televised events, there are little like wasteland skirmishes where you get like additional points and money and things, and kind of sabotaging the other teams and stuff. And it kind of makes the actual season itself a lot more interesting. And it means that between certain shows, you can end up getting more stuff. And in those sorts of games, like the rules are very different, because you're often like racing in like open desert or whatever theme it is that you wanted to kind of do. But it's a bit more Mad Maxy at that point, really. And in those sorts of games, it's not really about who comes first doing what. It's about certain little missions that you can get in those games. So the last game that we played was the Rolling Road one, where you had to basically leave the game board with a piece of paper with your name on it, and you start with a random name, and those names are all the players, and you want to leave the game board with your own name, and the only way that you can trade if you don't have your own name is to collide into another player and swap, and then you keep it secret which one you've got. So it kind of encourages you to crash into other players and then make a you basically just go to leave. A bit of a hit and run, which is great. So it's not necessarily about being first, it's about finding out where your name is if you haven't already got it, and then getting out first. And I thought I was going to win the game that we played a little while ago, but then someone took my glory at the last minute. And even if you do come, first essentially out of that, it's just about what points you get for the things that you do throughout, and then it's all kind of like random chance. So you get as many dice as you do potential points. You roll those dice, and then that tells you how many points you get. I rolled low on many dice, while my opponents rolled high on few dice, and they got more points than me. So yeah, that goes to show me, right? So I've painted those little concrete bits. Just going to put that grey to a side there for a minute. I'm just going to see if I can get some nice dark greys. I've got sombre greys, almost like a purpley grey. Don't know if that's appropriate. Got obviously all the other greys that I've recently been using. I'm just going to kind of play around with those, maybe mix a little bit of water into them, just see if they go really, really runny, and just add a little bit of sort of variation and colour tone to them. Skaven Blight Dinge, that was a good one that we were using the other week for some of my basing stuff. Just going to pop a little bit of that in the palette here. I'm just going to add a boatload of water, and then I'm just going to turn it into a little wash, basically. Now I could add a medium to this, but a medium would make it more of a filter. I just want some sort of variations and patination and things, just to make it look a bit more interesting. So not really concerned about using a medium. Just going to kind of slap this on, really. Going to go to the first one because it's a bit more drier. Here we go. There we go. Kind of breaks it up a little bit. Lovely, lovely. This is all just, of course, just playing around and experimenting. When I come back to do the rest later on after the show, I might even stick some, like I say, some sand and gravelly bits on there, just to kind of add a little bit of texture to them. And then that will, when I'm putting stains and things on them, obviously it will give it something to run in and around, and it will look very different. That's actually really good. I like that. Good colour, Danny. Well done. Okay, and then over to the side here. I really like that. That's come out really, really well. Sometimes I do surprise myself. Cool. Right then. I'm actually going to leave the number one for a minute. Well, I meant the number one in terms of the concrete things. I'd prefer to add a little bit of texture to them. I'm going to have a go at painting the signs. And I don't really know what colours to do them. Like I said, I quite liked it when I saw the stock image that the company Blotz made for them, and that was this sort of background here was blue, a nice blue as well, and then the outside and the number itself was white. I'm quite inclined to follow that, so I might do that, unless any of you are watching secretly away there, or if it's just my dad, what colours you think. Should the start and finish ones be different colours? That is a good cup of tea, and it's about keeping me going with this headache that I've got that won't go away. I'm looking at the blue colours that I've got. I've got Imperial Blue and Ultramarine Blue. They're very nice blues. Imperial Blue is very dark. Magic Blue and Electric Blue are kind of weird sort of turquoisey mixes. Ultramarine Blue is a colour that I haven't actually used on any of my models before, so I'm quite keen to give it a bit of a go. I might paint that background there. This is a very thin paint, especially for an airbrush paint as well. So I'm expecting to paint several layers onto this, especially to cover over the overspray of silver that's on there. So this might be a slow process. And then I'm going to paint the numbers and the trim white. So, in with some ultramarine blue. It's a lovely colour. It's very indigo. Which I read a little while ago. Indigo isn't really a colour. The person who sort of invented the rainbow, if you will, just really liked things in sevens. So was struggling with colours on that rainbow. Oh, I said, didn't I, that this might take a few layers to cover, but I reckon 2. I'm going to sneeze. Nope, it's gone. Okay, that's good. Ah, I painted over the bottom of the 1. That's frustrating. I was getting some really neat lines then. It happens. It's a really nice colour. I really like it. And it is drying very rapidly in the studio here, so I'm just going to give it a second to kind of evaporate, and then I'll give it a second coat. Just says, like your idea of green and red for start and finish. Yeah, I could do like, you know, green trim, I suppose, or even a green background. I like the idea of a checkerboard, but that might be a little bit frustrating to paint, and I like, I'm just trying to keep it nice and simple. I see your Thunderbirds reference now. It does look very reminiscent, doesn't it? All I want to do now is paint the Thunderbirds, buy some model kits, but you know, I've got enough models. I absolutely love Thunderbirds. As a kid growing up, I used to watch it all the time. I watched them back a little while ago as an adult. It's incredible to understand how times have changed and how generally sexist and racist it was. So you have to kind of overlook that as an older viewer going back in. You're saying that what this is a nice blue. What is it? This is the ultramarine blue from the Vallejo Game Air, or just the game model colour. It is a really nice colour, and it has got some great coverage, which is wonderful. It's very, very smooth. I do like a blue. Go do the other side. Here I go. very distressingly tilts every time I go to apply pressure with a brush. Struggling to get it into that little corner just there. There we go. Oh, this is very satisfying to do. Keeping an eye on that time, it is 22. Time is flying this evening, and I'm actually having a great time painting this. It's been really fun. It's just a nice change from the normal stuff I paint. Oh, I've got slightly over the line there. That's annoying. I really want to just carry on working on this project this evening after the show. But I think that it's so hot up here, I'm going to get very uncomfortable, and this headache that I have is not going anywhere, which is a real shame. So you got to look after yourself, right? Because if you can't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to enjoy the projects that you paint. So I might just call it a night. See who's on Discord, if anybody. Oh, that's lovely. Look at that. It's all going on so well. What a lovely colour that is. Just needs a little bit of neatening up just at the top up there. I just went ever so slightly over the one again. Annoying. That side there. I'm going to give one more pass to this blue. Just see if it makes much difference. It has had two very thin coats here. Let's see if the third makes any difference at all. I don't think it does it? This is a very woad kind of colour of a blue. That's what I'm thinking as I'm painting it. It looks very, is it Iron Age? Very Celt, I suppose. Okay, cool. So some white trim and a white number. I think a white trim and white number. Put that blue to a side over there. Come back in with some dead white. Same range. Vallejo, Game Air. I wonder how well this will cover. Hopefully really well. There we go, so got some colour in the palette. It's been an interestingly quiet show this evening. Just been me and the old man. Some days it's really busy in the live chat, other days not. That's okay. No offense. Just so lonely. That's also coating really well. It's actually quite claggy. This white is a very, very thin white. Painting it onto here for some reason is going on really well. It is drying very quickly. Could be a combination of the surface that I'm painting it on and the temperature in this room. But I'm actually thinking about putting some flow improver in this. Probably get away without putting anything in for now. It's just a small little number here after all. Ah, there's a little bit of poor coverage right there. I'll come back and give it another coat in a second. Now the number has been etched in by the laser cutter. It's not cut all the way through. It's just made a gentle etching in there, which has given you like a colouring but paint within the lines sort of effort. It makes it so much easier to paint rather than just like it being drawn on. It's an actual physical entity in which to paint onto. I can very easily paint into it. I'm trying not to, because it is naturally coloured by the burning process, and I like the fact that it outlines the number without any sort of effort. I was thinking, you know, would I have to run a pin wash into that area? Obviously, if I paint over it by accident, then I might have to kind of recover it by doing that. But as you can see, painting the blue up to the edges of the one, and then painting the one with white up to the edges of the blue, has come out absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to paint the trim now in white, but I'm going to paint, I think, all the way here and make it look like a sign that's kind of strapped to or bolted on to the top there. So a very, very simple process of painting a white line all the way along. That is quite thin on there now. So I'll probably have to come over and put another layer on top of that. That is fine. Going to move slightly out of shot just to get a bit better light there. There's a bit too much shadow in the corner where I was painting there. I'm coming right back, so don't worry. I said don't worry. Okay, back again. So I've done the top, the side, and now down this side here. And again, just into that little corner, into that little recess there. Again, just off camera. There's a tiny little bit underneath, and just because I'm a stickler for those little details, I'm just gonna tack those now with a bit of white. There we go. I wouldn't have been able to leave it. That's just an OCD thing. You're never gonna see under there, surely, right? But I know it's there, so it's got to go. Right, a bit of white on the brush, and I'm gonna come in and just do those borders. I slipped then, that could have been disastrous. I think when the opaqueness of the white has set in, I think that's going to look really striking. And I only chose these colours because they were on the little piece of paper that came in the packet with them, like the box art, if you wish. If you will. There was no box. It was a little Ziploc bag. And I thought, those colours really work. Their gates were painted all white, but I like the idea of it looking like steel, and they had some rust effects on it. Excuse me. Jeff says the airbrush has done real well. Rattle can would have soaked in and you would be doing more coats. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Like I say, I have done rattle cans on MDF before, and it has soaked in straight away. I don't know if it's anything to do with the rattle can versus the airbrush. Excuse me. Or if it's just I've just struck lucky today. But yeah, it has saved me doing a lot of work. I've noticed that Darren has joined us in the live chat. I'll just look up in just a second, see what you have written. And come in. He says, "Hello, I'm a bit late." Oh man, yeah, we're getting close to the end of the show. Don't worry, man. It's like a beautiful day out there. You've probably been out with your friends or your family or whatever. That's fine. I work out in this all the time. I don't want to be out in it right now. Like it was 30 plus degrees where I was working, and I was out in it for hours. And I come from a long line of gingers, and well, we don't do so well. You gotta look after your ginger people. Dad'll tell you. But it's good to see you anyway, so thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good day. Hope you had a good week. For any of you that are watching this later on, perhaps on replay, I just hope you're doing well. Just be happy. Anyway, we are getting to the end of the show, so I'm just going to put that little thing at the bottom that says we're getting to the end of the show. Here it comes. We're about 5-6 minutes away, but I think what I'm going to do, just because there's only a few of us on today, I'll just carry on for a few minutes extra and just see how this little sign looks by the end of it. Got a couple of rogue bristles there, which I'm just trying to be careful. If they've got any paint on them, they will make quite a noticeable effect on the surround. Yeah, just like that. Oh, it's done. Oh, you cheeky little. I'll have to go back in with some blue in a minute. There's a tiny little line, and because it's quite a contrast, it shows up quite a bit. I'm actually going to come in with a smaller brush. I'm going to cheat. Where's my really, really little one? Here it is. Doesn't hold an awful lot of paint, but it will certainly get me through this little bit. Just because this little step at the bottom here stands out a bit. Worked. That's really, really good. Okay, wash that out, and I'm going to come back in with a little bit of blue and just repair that tiny little bit in the corner I doubt you can even see it, but it is noticeable just here. Oh, that's it's really bothering me. So just a tiny little bit of blue. Here we go. Coming at the right angle here. There we go. That looks really nice. It's a real nice contrast with some really soft, gentle colours. And I might try, you know, kind of like I did with the concrete, if you will, like getting a wash with a lighter colour and just kind of giving it something, or even maybe with a darker colour around the outsides, around the borders of the whites, and just seeing how, you know, that kind of gives it some tonal variation. They certainly did that on the box art. I really liked it. It's a very easy thing to recover, to repair if I do mess it up. So, you know, no dramas there really. A bit of white back in the palette here. Make sure that the brush is nice and dry after cleaning it. I've just knocked a load of cork rocks everywhere. Just put those over there. There we go. Darren says, DSH, is it made of MDF? Yes, yes it is. Very, very simple little model kit, really. I've got a series of gates for doing some Gaslands. Yeah, oh, did you say it is? Yes, yeah, MDF laser cut, says Jeff there. Yes, thanks. He's got my back today. Put a bit of white back in that palette. Here we go. Just on the outside here, it hasn't got the coverage as it has on the front. I can see already that like 3 or 4 coats on the edges. Particularly that it's the trim that is struggling to show any opaqueness. A little bit down the sides there as well. I could put the hairdryer on it to dry it rapidly. It's too hot for that kind of treatment in here, really. Like, if I was to put the hairdryer on, I probably would just have a nervous breakdown. But it is looking really cool. Proper neat, huh? Proper neat. So you can see working from the other side here. As he tried to seal it before painting, says Darren. He was saying it soaked in too fast. Yeah, in areas where you would expect it to soak in, it didn't, and it's just up here, just on the edges, on the trim here. It's just taking a little bit of extra coverage, and that is because I'm using airbrush paints with a brush, and they are very, very thin. I was surprised at how easy I've been able to attain coverage on these exposed rough bits of MDF down here. Normally you would spray paint onto these sanded bits and you just watch it like a sponge just soak away, and it just hasn't done that today. For some reason on these little trim bits up here, it's just struggling to get some coverage, unlike the other faces, like this little bit here. It's gone on really well. I like it. Super cool. Going back to the little tiny brush just to finish off that bottom bit down there. Where's my super tiny brush? Here it is. I think I'm just going to use this one just to get a little bit of just a final layer on the number 1 in there, because it now looks comparatively transparent to the trim. That looks absolutely brilliant. I'm really happy with that. I like the fact that it looks really clean. It's a little bit different than my normal painting. Jeff says, I've got some church windows need painting, or send them to you. Yeah, absolutely. They cover really well with the airbrush. I'll have them done in seconds for you. I really like to know what everyone thinks about this, so if you're watching back on the replay later on, yeah, just put it down in the description to the video. Like I say, I read all of the description comments and I get back to everybody. I'll write little replies, or you can always go and pop it on over at Easy8 on Facebook, and you can go and join me over at Discord at the end of the show, which is where I'm going to go right now. So just going to wash my little brush out here, come away from the workbench. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've been loving it this evening. Just something completely different to my normal jam. I do love Tyranids. I think they are wonderful. They are my thing. I think they're cool. I like Space Marines, and I've also got all my Adeptus Mechanicus Martian stuff as well. So many other projects all on the table. It's nice to do something a little bit different. It looks really cool, doesn't it? It really stands out. You're not going to miss that on the table. I will kind of bring it all together with a nice sort of grimy rust effect. I'm not going to do the grime effects I've done in the past. Just going to use a couple of rust effects, do some patches and whatever. Not going to go crazy with it. I like the cleanness of it, so I'll just try and kind of break it up a little bit with some rust. I like the way that the concrete has turned out just by doing a simple little wash on there. I'm definitely going to add some textures to kind of add a little bit of something else to it, some really fine sands and things, just to kind of add something to it, because that MDF is almost mirror smooth on the top there, and it's just a little bit boring to look at. Yeah, that's cool, man. I like it. I think it's really cool. It's really, really good. I just got to make sure that I choose appropriate colours for the start sign and the finish sign, because I do want them to be different. I think it will look really, really nice. Anyway, that's it from me. I'm really happy to get to the end of the show, which is quite unusual, but it's just uncomfortable in the studio today. I'm going to come back in the studio over the weekend. I've got Sunday off, and I've got a little bit of the afternoon off tomorrow, so I'm going to come back in, carry on with these, see if I can get them all up to the sort of level where I'm about to do some rust effects and things on them, and perhaps next week, on the next week's show, I'll finish them off on the show. That'll be a great way to do next week's show. If you've got any other suggestions, bits and pieces for these, or anything else that you'd like to see, then just write it in the comment section to this video, or come and find me over on Facebook as well, and I'll be all ears. A lot of people have been throwing some suggestions and requests my way, and I'm starting to try and kind of put them into the show, so that's cool. If you've been working on anything this evening, retrospectively, if you're watching back later on, or if it's just you two over there in the live chat, put some photos up on Facebook. I'd love to see what all my my viewers are painting, and it's nice to kind of show things off if you are so inclined. Just drop it into the mentions tab on Facebook, because it used to be called community, but Facebook changed it for some reason, and now it's called mentions, because that makes a lot of sense. It doesn't. And I have no effect over it. I can't change it. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, I will love you and leave you and wish you a very happy weekend for the longest day coming up soon on the 21st of June, and then the days will start getting shorter. We got a thunderstorm due in the next couple of days, so surf's up and hopefully the air will be a little bit clearer. So yeah, until next week, you guys stay safe, be kind, and keep on painting, and I'll see you soon. Cheers now, bye bye. Oh, the temperature in this studio is just incorrect.